Ini recording design.
Bisa? Sudah.
Bisa ya? That's the.
Oh, okay.
Still probably took about 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably about the time I would have taken to walk.
Yeah. That's Jakarta. It's good that it's not raining.
Yes. Last time when I arrived, it was raining.
It was must be traffic also.
Yeah.
Kita mulai ya.
Okay.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming, Dr. Sakar Siva Prakasa, for coming to our meeting. This is our organization name is Mapin, Indonesian Society for Remote Sensing. And we have 4,000 members, and currently our chairman is there, Dr. Agustan. He will also probably ask some question and probably also give some insight. And then here is Dr. Marina. He is also expert also in remote sensing. My name is Oni Bintoro. I will become the moderator for the next 1.5 hours probably. And here is the audience. The audience came from different parts of Indonesia. And of course, they're coming to here because interested into the topic. The topic is the world-first self-service platform for direct tasking of multiple satellites. And actually, I will introduce your background, and then after that, you can continue with yourself with your background and then some presentation. So your educational background, Dr. Sankar Siva Prakasa has a quite diverse educational background with degree in computer science and engineering from the Indian Institute of Technology Kanpur, and further education with an MBA and PhD from University of Technology Sydney. And the topic today is about challenges of leading space tech startup. That's what I understand. And probably you will also give some advice to aspiring entrepreneur in the tech and space sector, other than also explaining about the world-first self-service platform for direct tasking of multiple satellites. Without further ado, please, Dr. Sakar Siva Prakasa, short introduction of your background and then later on your prepared presentation. Dr. Sakar.
Thank you, Pani. Selamat pagi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm really pleased to be here. Thanks, Pak Augustin, for inviting. And we'll meet next time in person when you're in Indonesia. And yes, so my name, as was mentioned by Pak Oni, is Shankar, and I'm a technologist. I've been a technologist for the longest time, nearly 15 years, of which 13 years was at Hewlett Packard, and then another 3 years at information management company, a software company called OpenText. So I spent a lot of time in working on big data problems and artificial intelligence and analytics. And then I moved to space back in 2017. Early 2017 was the first time I went to work in a new space. So I started my career in new space with Planet. Some of you may have heard of Planet Labs. So that's where I started back in early 2017. And since then, I've been working in new space in various capacities. So I worked across Planet Labs, Satlogic, Spire. So these are all some of the new space companies you might be familiar with. Some of them are in Earth observation, imaging, sensing. Some of them are in RF, AIS, ADSP, and so forth. And then I founded a company in the upstream, which is to build satellites on a SaaS platform. So my background is software as a service SaaS background, enterprise SaaS is where I come from. So I co-founded with my ex-Planet colleagues an upstream startup to build satellites on a SaaS platform. And that company is still continuing. I exited that after 13 months, and now I founded about just over a year ago, I founded Mapin Eye Sky, which is also a SaaS, but for downstream. And the reason we founded this company is to solve a very specific problem, which is responsive access to space, responsive access to Earth observation data in your context, without friction, which is a problem when I start to talk about responsive access to satellite data or Earth observation data. Responsibly. The definition of responsiveness is very important because we are talking about, in the future, not about getting access to archives, which is much easier today than before. It's a relatively solved problem, but if you want to get access to future data, with the sensors of your choice or the area of interest, time of interest, even with the price point that you could afford, that is a hard one. That has not been solved until we created this capability. So I'll talk through that. So that's a bit of a background about me. And so if we can move on to the topic itself. So I'll share my screen and sort of walk through.
Yes.
Okay, right. Everyone able to see? I'm assuming they can, right? Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
Okay,
it's
right, perfect. All right. So as Paoni said, it's about this multi-sensor tasking, but really there are two aspects to what we have built in Mapin Eye Space. One is a fundamental accessibility, affordability, and usability problem. And the other one is the business model, a business model innovation. The business model innovation is fairly straightforward. We just copied it. So we are like the Uber, but in Indonesia context, I should say we are like Grab, or better still, Grab Food or Gojek. Even better. Yeah. So whether it's Grab or Gojek, it's not just, you will see in a while, it's not just Grab or Gojek for satellites, it's also Grab Food or Gojek Food. You have Gojek Food?
Yes.
Okay, so you have Gojek Food. You'll see why I use that analogy, because it's about this multi-sensor capability, how we are able to combine different sensors in the same workflow, just like you're able to order multi-cuisine using Grab Food or Gojek Food across multiple restaurants, right? So in a single order. So that's a capability we have built. So that's in terms of the business model of on-demand. But fundamentally, there is also the technical problem of how do you bring all these different sensors in space operated by various operators, both commercial and government, onto one platform, right? So that's what we have achieved. We are still a very young company. We are Singapore headquartered. Like I mentioned, we were founded in September of 22, so that makes about a year and a half old company. We brought the first product in the market in April, pretty quickly, 6 months into forming the company. And today we have defense agencies, space agencies, governments, private sector, startups as our subscription customers using the platform, including in Indonesia, so which is quite exciting. So I keep coming here. So yeah, so the whole idea is how do we remove, just like if you think about, before Uber, Grab, Gojek came, imagine the world we were living in, right? Public transport, broken public transport systems, broken taxi company systems, right? So that was all an experience with full of friction. And when Uber, Grab, Gojek came along, the whole transport system was reinvented. The public transport or private transport was reinvented. So if not everybody could afford to have their private vehicles. Even if you had your private vehicles, you still rely on these rideshare, because it is not guaranteed that you had your private vehicles anytime and every time you wanted, right? So everybody who owns your own cars also in your life regularly would take Gojek or Grab. So this is a model that complements private vehicle owners, but also unlocks the potential for those who have been using broken public transport system or these taxi companies, which are very rigid in how they were operating. So similarly, if you think about Earth observation, today, that's exactly the situation. You have lots of different private sector or commercials, Earth observation satellite operators. Like I said, I work for a few of them. And then they have government dual use assets, but they are not accessible to everybody. You can get archive much more easily, but if you were to get access to those satellites responsibly, you need access to it today, because you need to collect some data in remote part of Indonesia, in SAR or in hyperspectral or in thermal for whatever the use case might be. That's practically impossible. But that is now possible with Earth Eye Space. Literally possible if you wanted to collect somewhere remotely this afternoon. So that's how we have. I don't want to use the word democratize, but that's how we have made accessibility, affordability. We'll talk about the usability of Earth observation. Should we encourage folks to ask questions?
Sure.
Yeah. So please so feel free to stop me anytime. And I think you can put up a hand in Zoom, and maybe we can make it interactive. Otherwise, it'll be boring on a Monday morning.
Okay. So if some of our participants, you have a question during the presentation, please raise your hand, and then after that we can give you the airtime. Okay.
Thank you. So so this is the friction points I've been talking about, right? So there are fundamentally my own experience. I'm sure if you're users, and you're all are users of Earth observation data, most likely you're users of a public source, Landsat, Sentinel, Indonesian BRINS, Lapan BRINS assets. But if you even then, if you're looking at supplementing that with commercial data, you would go through this. Even if you're working in public source, public goods data, they're all independent systems, their own processes, governance that you have to go through, right? There is no what I say often. There is no Microsoft Windows for Earth observation. There's no common standard by which I can access all these various sensors in space. And you know this, there are lots and lots of sensors in space now. It's not like back when I'm in Planet in 2017, you could count the number of operators with 1 or 2 hands. Today, there are 50, 60, 70 operators and more entering the market, right? Every month there's a new one entering. Governments are putting up their own satellites. Sovereign assets are going up more and more. So it is good. It is from a supply-driven market, it's becoming a demand-driven market. But there's still a problem of this fragmented experiences that our customers are put through, because there's no standards, right? There's no standards, as I said, in the way processes, systems, and governance works. Consequently, you are working through this non-standard workflows. Consequence of that is, why do you collect Earth observation data? Because you want insights, and most of the time you want the insights when you need, and not when you can or when you're able to get it. And there's a big difference. When you need, maybe now, but when you're able to get it, maybe a few days or weeks later. So how do you get access to data and turn that data into information and insights, as I say, in minutes? And not in hours and days and weeks. And we'll see how we are creating that usability aspects through high velocity information extraction from Earth observation data. So the problem, second problem today is because of this fragmentation, non-standard workflows, you don't have the ability to combine different data sets easily. You can't, let alone the fact you can't compare them, right? Let alone compare to combine them. So comparing them itself is a problem before you start talking about data fusion and all those nice things. So the issue is that's because of the first problem, the fragmented experience, the siloed systems. So how do I bring different, within the optical context, within SAR or any other thermal and other sensor context, how do I bring them into one platform so I can collect different data sets in my area of interest, time of interest, so I have a better ability to not just compare, but also combine and fuse those data sets to get the meaningful information and insights. Very quickly, I'm talking in minutes. And then the third is probably the biggest impediment, which is commercial impediment of every operator telling you to sign up for 6, 7, 8-digit contracts before they give access to tasking capability. Like I said, if you want last month or last year data, that is possibly easily solved through marketplaces. There are a lot of marketplaces. You might be already familiar with some. You can go to get those data. And there's no commitments. There's no minimum, there's no 7, 8 digits contracts you have to sign up. But the moment you say, I want the ability to collect data when I want, where I want, with what sensors I want, you are presented with hundreds of thousands or millions dollar contracts before you even get access to them, even get onto those platforms, even if those platforms exist. Not every operator has a self-service direct tasking platform. So these are the fundamental issues in space-based data acquisition today. Right. So does it resonate with anyone, everyone? Yes, okay.
Standard workflow, that's what you introduce, reduce the weeks, the time, and also reduce the spend.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. The problem statements below. So one workflow, so that's good. That's a good segue. Thank you, Bhavani.
Okay.
He just took me into my next slide. So this is how we brought that non-standard workflows into a standardized and simplified workflow. So one workflow, all sensors, right? So essentially, it's a very simple concept, but it's difficult to pull it off. Not necessarily technically challenging, but it's also management of change challenge. To be able to convince all these operators to see the future in a way different to how they see it today. So to get them to join this sort of aggregated platform. So essentially what we built was a single unified workflow, what we call it a customer-centric workflow rather than an operator-centric workflow. And having worked across, 3, 4 operators, I understand how operators build. I was part of building a couple of them. The workflows that operators end up building is an operator-centric tasking workflows. Have to turn that into a customer-centric workflow, almost like how a customer buys stuff on e-commerce. Right, so so the analogy we talk about, if you see later, if you can buy something on Amazon or Lazada or whatever is the e-commerce of choice in Indonesia, you should be able to task a satellite. That's how we think about it. So it has to be customer centric. It has to be. My grandmother should be able to task a satellite, is what I say. So that's what we have done to come up with a simple, unified workflow that can connect to all these different sensors on the left side. Another analogy I like to use is Netflix of sensors, right? If you think about this is like your Netflix of sensors, right? And these are different genres on Netflix, right? Different kind of movies. So multispectral, SAR, FMV, thermal, and inside each one of them, there are lots of capabilities. Inside multispectral, there are going to be lots of spectral, spatial, temporal resolution satellites, and so forth in each one of the others. So coming back to Pavani's point, so this is one, instead of non-standard workflows, we standardize and simplify a workflow to task, number one. Number two is because we were able to do that, we have the ability now to combine these sensors in the same workflow. So you could have multiple sensors that you are seeing on the left side put together. This is the Gojek food or Grab food analogy, put together in the same task flow. Same area, one area of interest, time of interest. I want to collect multispectral SAR and thermal. I can do it across from various operators. So that's, and it's a single order, one payment, one data, one place for data to be delivered. So I can now combine this data and compare at least, and then start talking about how I can compare and fuse these data sets, co-register them, etc., etc. So this is the accessibility and affordability aspect. The second part of usability aspect. The second part of affordability aspect is how we have turned this into a SaaS platform. So essentially, you don't need to sign 30, 40, 50 different contracts with all these operators I mentioned. You get onto Earth Eye on a subscription basis, and it's a very affordable subscription. We'll keep that to a Q&A. I'm sure somebody is going to ask how much is a subscription, but I can guarantee you it's so affordable. People join with a credit card, corporate credit cards. So once you're on the platform with annual subscription, you are going to be seeing 250, 300 satellites today. You see 250 to 300 satellites that you can just ask. This afternoon, you want to collect in Kalimantan. Yeah, it's going to be cloudy, but you can task the SAR sensor, right? So that's the capability. When you need, where you need, what sensors you need, with the price point. Now, I keep saying with the price point you need. You remember everybody with Grab and Gojek, you have different apps and you are comparing. I need to go from A to B and I want to get the best, not just the time, who is coming faster, but who's also going to charge me lesser, right? That's a similar capability on the platform. Same capability, multiple providers. If I see 30 centimeter optical, there'll be 3-4 operators providing 30 centimeter optical, 3-4 bands. So now you have a market competition. You can choose the one you want to go with because they have they can acquire the time you want. They got the lower price for you. So it's also like an online auction platform with all these operators bidding for your work when you need it. So this is the kind of that solving the affordability as well from a commercial sense. Any questions? I'm sure there must be a few questions. Otherwise, I'll keep talking for the rest of the day. Anyone?
So question, what you mean the operator is the satellite provider?
Correct. They're all, on the left side, these are your satellite providers.
So since you mentioned that the satellite provider currently is 250, meaning the satellite provider less than 250. Mention one is 30, and the customer is unlimited.
Yeah, customer can be. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Today we host about over 250 satellites, and by end of this year we'll host about 350 satellites. And these 350 satellites, these are all Earth observation satellites. They come from, like I mentioned, from both commercial and government dual use. And then if you take a single operator, the single largest operator is 30. Just gives you an idea on the power of power and the aggregation, the scale and scope of what we have built.
Okay. The user interface will be in apps format or in
It's
online?
It's a website. It's a secure website. So a good question. So we are not a consumer platform. We are a business platform. So we are a B2B SaaS. So while we promote and all our customers say this is the most frictionless, easiest platform, even experienced large defense clients, space agencies who use operators, a few operators, and have used their tasking platforms have said this is the easiest, simplest, frictionless experience they've ever had. But any friction you might experience is when we do our know your customer process, KYC. So we have to do a very stringent KYC to onboard a customer on the platform. So it is possible that some customers may not meet the KYC requirement. That is not because of anything else. It's not because of the commercial reason. It's because if you are a bad actor. So we don't onboard anyone under UN sanctions. So there are certain criteria that we'll have to follow. The reason, because we host very high resolution satellites of some countries, and we also host dual use national assets, sovereign assets. So you cannot have bad actors and who decides who these bad actors are, right? And we don't rely on countries deciding, we rely on one body, United Nations. If you're on the United Nations sanction list, then you can't get onto the platform, as an example, right? So we are a B2B, hence we have KYC process, and it's a know your customer process. That is, it's a two-factor authentication. So there are a fair bit of security apparatus built around it. So it's not an app you download from iTunes or Google Play, and yeah.
You mentioned about single largest operator, less than 30.
30 satellites.
Are you able to say which one is the largest operator?
Yeah, so today in the Earth observation space, Satellogic is the largest operator. Have you heard of it? Satellogic? Yeah, they are
What's doing?
Satellogic. Yeah. So they started as an Argentinian, and now they moved their headquarters to US, and they have close to 30 satellites in space.
Argentinian.
They were Argentinian, yeah. Surprisingly.
And the satellite was owned by Argentinian.
This is a private company, but the founders were Argentinians, yeah.
Oh,
And that's one of the companies I work with. I consulted them for 2 years. Yeah, post my Planet days, I consulted them for 2 years, and yeah, so they today are still the largest. Okay, I should qualify this. They are the largest operator outside of China. If you take if you include China, there is one Chinese constellation that has over 50 satellites, right? Yeah, so there is that perspective as well. Okay, are there some questions there?
No, that was
Yes. Okay, all right, yeah.
Question on
Administration.
so here is basically the Earth Eye is the direct tasking in the middle.
Correct.
And you connect with all the
Operator.
satellite data operator using the API.
Away.
Oh, your API.
That's our secret sauce, yeah.
That's
That single API can connect to all the operators.
okay. But basically, if I'm a small medium enterprise, I can directly subscribe into this, right?
You subscribe to Earth Eye.
But now it's just with Earth Eye, I can subscribe to all.
Correct. The customers subscribe to Earth Eye, and Earth Eye, once you subscribe to Earth Eye, you can now access all those satellites.
stuff.
Because if you are sitting here as a customer and you want to go to the operator directly,
Yeah.
like I said, you need to have a very deep pocket. Number one. Number two, you will not be able to, even if you are the biggest spending customer user, you are not going to sign 30, 40, 50 contracts.
Okay.
Not practical. And these numbers are keep increasing, like I said. There are already, say, 50, 60 operators today on the left side. So if you are even the most sophisticated Earth observation user, you want all those sensors, you possibly can't go and sign up with all these operators, right? It's just not practical.
So I may be going ahead, but
That's okay.
when you have the direct tasking,
Yeah.
do you ask for the which satellite or
Yeah.
which application?
Yeah.
You decide as a customer. It's a complete self-service. It's a no human in the loop, fully automated platform. We don't come in, we don't even know where you're tasking. We just created an infrastructure for you to task those satellites directly. Yeah, it's your choice. But having said that, there are various tasking workflows on the platform where you can automatically task, where you choose the operators of choice, operator or operators in plural of your choice against your project requirement you can task. And where you define your time of interest, area of interest and time of interest, choose your sensors and the operators of choice for those sensors and can task it. Or you can go down to task-based tasking. You can say, I want these operators, but I want 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I want 11 o'clock in the morning. I want 4 o'clock in the evening. You can actually go down to the task-based tasking. That's a very important defense requirement, right? So that's that capability there. Then there is outcome-based tasking, where I don't know, like you didn't know who Satellogic was, but you wanted to get the benefit of it. So I say, I want 50 centimeter data with these bands. This is my budget. That's it. The platform will go and figure out who is the best, who's available to deliver to your area of interest, time of interest, your requirement of spatial spectral resolution, and within your budget. and it will automatically task that, right? Because it's within your backlog. Then there is another workflow called first available. So you say, I don't care, I need it now, and just get it to me. So that's called the first available tasking. So being a specialist tasking platform, we have all these different workflows. And then there is the more popular tip and queue. You familiar with that concept? Tip and queue is where you're combining two sensors together with a condition. So you see something in sensor one, you detect a change, and automatically you task sensor two based on that condition. But that workflow is already pre-constructed. So there's no human in the loop. Again, very important capability for defense. So defense will pick up some radio frequency signals from bad actors in open waters using RF, for example, whether it's a Thuraya phone, Iridium phone, L-band signals. And then obviously they pick up signal, but they don't know what kind of vessels the signal is coming from. So automatically when the signal gets picked up, an imaging sensor gets sent. So it could be opticals or whatever, and whatever resolution. Now, not only you know the location of the signal, but you know what kind of vessel that has gone dark because they turned off the AIS, but they are still communicating in marine radar or satellite phone. So you can see what kind of vessel is that. So that is happening in one workflow. So it's called tip and queue. You queue a first sensor, detect a change, and tip the second sensor. So these are all different workflows on the platform.
Okay. One more question.
Sure, this is getting exciting. I like questions.
When as a customer, I put the requirement.
Yeah.
And then the requirement was there, and the data provider, satellite data provider, probably will give answer. Probably three satellite data provider, or directly decided only one who will pick up my requirement.
You are making, so let's say, good question. So let's say you want 50 centimeter multispectral, and let's say there are 4 operators on the platform. It's your choice that you pick all 4 and send the request. When they come back, you choose which one you want to now go ahead and task with, or you just pick the one that you absolutely know that's the one you want. So it's all customer choice.
Okay.
I do have a question.
Yeah, please.
I can see that you have several a variety of customers.
Yeah.
I'm sure, for example, applications like climate change.
Yeah.
There are more than one customers are interested in that.
Yeah.
So do you have like a forum in the app, or not app, the website?
Yeah.
That we can
Discuss.
like discuss together, or?
No, okay, I see what you mean. That's a good suggestion. Create a community of interest, right? Yeah. No, great. Thank you. Not yet, but that's a good idea. Create some communities of interest around this capability. Yeah. But we do have customers today task us with greenhouse gas sensors. So you must have noticed. So methane sensing, CO2 sensing. So plantations, landfills, mining. So they use greenhouse because of methane emission from coal mines and landfills and so.
So we have a question there.
Yes.
If you would like to.
Oh, in English. Okay, that's good. If you like to obtain the data using API, what command? Oh, no. You don't need to. That's just our architecture. This is just it's a UI. It's like ordering Grab. You don't need to know the API endpoint. It's like ordering Grab food or Uber, Gojek food. You haven't. We have a web UI, and you are engaging with the web UI. There's no programming required. But if you want to, if I interpret this question differently, if you want to embed our capability into your own platform, we are working on providing an SDK. So your platform, which will be a third-party platform to us, can call our platform endpoints and get the same feature functions we provide through the web UI. That SDK is not ready yet. Today, it's only a web UI experience.
Yeah, because that's important if you have some subscription from big company or big organization. Then they have only one subscription, but there will be a lot of people in organization that like to access.
Yeah.
Probably at the same time can be.
Yeah, true. So today if there are multi-user in an organization, we get them to use one one account and they are sharing it, but we think of going towards multi-user accounts as well. Yeah, step by step. Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, so this is the sort of the double clicking on that left side, right? Just getting down to the details of all the different sensor modalities, right? So multispectral starting from 30 centimeter going down to 5 meter. This is all in GST. So going down to 5 meter, stereo, tri-stereo. So we have customers who build 3D models or digital twins of cities using stereo, tri-stereo as well in that sub-meter resolution. Hyperspectral, the first hyperspectral is coming live next month. It's going to be a 5 meter, 30 bands hyperspectral. First time ever a taskable hyperspectral. As you know, there isn't, as we speak, there is no taskable hyperspectral commercially available. And then we will have, by the end of the year, we'll have 300 bands hyperspectral. So 30 bands going to 300 bands by end of the year. Next month, 30 bands, end of the year, 300 bands. So you can think of all the interesting use cases, such as your organization, right? This is gold, right? To see what can you do with 300 bands hyperspectral data, right? In 5 meter resolution, that's going to be amazing, right? And then SAR, we already host very high 25 centimeter going to 2 meter. By end of the year, we will host a 16 centimeter SAR. So imagine how that high resolution is. So SAR at 16 centimeter native. Full motion video, we already have sub-meter, not just black and white, but also color, RGB, and also night video and night vision, which is also interesting. So there's a specific night vision camera in space as well. Infrared from unfortunately, the 3.5 meter infrared went offline. The satellite went offline, so we don't right now offer 3.5. Today we offer 80 meter medium and long range infrared.
Which satellite was it?
The one went offline, satellite Blue.
Satellite.
Yeah, it's a UK satellite. Yeah, so they were the first high resolution.
That's really high.
That's 3.5 meter. Yeah, they were the first high resolution. It was a 16 square kilometer scene, 4x4. But they unfortunately went offline. They lost the satellite. Just happened during Christmas.
But still, we can access the archives.
They have archives, and they are going to put up the replacement sometime end of the year. So that a couple of satellites are getting replaced. So it's coming back quickly. So unfortunately, that was the first satellite, and the first satellite was lost. And then greenhouse gas, as I mentioned, methane, CO2, 25 meter resolution today. RF, I don't know whether that's of interest to you, whether it's VHF, X, S, L band, RF. So these are, marine radar, satellite phones, etc. And then LiDAR, this will be interesting. LiDAR from space, end of the year. There'll also be 3D, native 3D from space. So I don't have that pictorial there. There's also a sensor that is collecting 3D natively from space. So that's LiDAR, that is a 3D, both coming this year and next year. So if that is a sensor out there, we will have it on our platform, is the summary of the story. If there is a sensor out there, it will be on our platform. So we are like the supermarket of sensors. I'll see if any questions. Wow, Augustine, you must have some question.
Yes, yes. About the LiDAR that you said coming in 2024, is there any satellite-based LiDAR it will operate in the
Right
future?
now, no. So very first one is coming end of the year.
Really?
Yeah, there's no LiDAR from space as we speak. The very first one coming end of the year. Just like there's no hyperspectral, commercial hyperspectral right now as we speak. The first one, taskable, is coming live next month.
Wow. Okay then. Thank you very much for updating us for the information. Thank you.
Yeah. Right. So that's the whole genre of Netflix of sensors, where so the whole idea of this workflow, right? So you source, fuse, and use. So we kind of reimagined that how you go about reimagining that whole acquisition process, not just the acquisition process, but also the combining or fusing process and the using process. So we started with, like I said, it has to be made self-service, but what is the best self-service workflow that everybody knows? It's an e-commerce workflow. So we turn tasking into an e-commerce experience. So essentially, everybody knows you order, you pay, you receive your goods, right? So we turn the same thing. You task, you pay, you receive the data and all the insights. So it works like an e-commerce experience. So you can task one or more satellites, just like you can buy a book and shoes together, right? So you can task all these different satellites and conservation sensors in one workflow. Like I mentioned, you can design your tip and cue workflow where you're making two sensors work together based on a condition. And that condition, by the way, doesn't have to be a business rule. It can also be an observation from a machine learning model. So first, cute sensor data gets dropped. A machine learning model runs, looking for whatever interest of a change of interest to you. It could be an object detection. It could be certain feature extracted. It could be some change detected. And that is done through computer vision machine learning. And then based on that observation, a sensor is tipped to look into the details of it. And usually the tipping sensor is going to be a very high resolution sensor. So that's how you can also design your tip and cue workflow. Then you make the payment. Just like e-commerce, you don't like bill shock, or like telcos, right? You get bill shock. One of the promises we have on the platform is there is no bill shock. You know exactly how much is going to cost to task that particular task. So it's completely transparent. There is no bill shock. You're fully informed before you hit the task button. Which is very important. And also, we're probably the only operator or only platform that operates on service level commitments. So what I mean by that is we have multiple tasking tiers. And we stick to the tasking tiers. So if you don't deliver to the tasking tiers, then you have a recourse. So what are these tasking tiers? The very basic is a standard tasking tier where the data comes after 24 hours. There's a certain period that we have. So what we have done is we have 4 tasking tiers, and we have basically grouped all the different operators, both commercial and government dual use, into these 4 tiers. Everybody fits into these 4 tiers. So the 4 tiers are, at the slowest is standard. The data will come after 24 hours. The fastest, hold your breath, is 1 hour. It's called emergency tasking. Of course, an emergency tasking is going to put you back by 3 to 4x the standard tasking. So if the standard tasking, just to give you an idea, if the standard tasking is $10 per square kilometer, just as an example, emergency tasking is going to be $30 to $40. But you're going to get the data 1 hour from collection. So it's a capability not for everybody. It's a capability for defense intelligence agencies, emergency response, national natural disasters and emergency response agencies, government. So these are our space agencies. We have some space agencies customers who will do, occasionally they will do emergency tasking. That's the beauty. Sometimes you want to take Uber share or Grab share. Sometimes you want Grab XL, right? So you have or Grab whatever in between. There are so many Grab options, right? Same concept here. You have different tasking tiers, different use cases. You may require different. You may need a very big car, a luxury car sometimes. So sometimes you're just happy to get about very quickly in a share model. So this is all exactly works on the same principles. So multiple tasking tiers driven by service level commitments, by when you can task, and how long from the collection to delivery is driven by service levels. So when you're tasking, you know exactly which service level you want to choose. And then finally you receive the data, and the data will be available on the platform, on the tasking Earth Eye platform where you task from in the collections page, where you can visualize, you can compare, so you can do time series, you can do overlay. Remember, we are multi-sensor tasking, so you can do overlay between sensors, you can compare them on a time series. So lots and lots of visualizations there. But you can also say, while tasking, I want the data delivered to my target location. So defense clients, for example, want the data straight going to their own location. So it could be a secure FTP, it could be a own Amazon S3 bucket, it could be an Azure blob. So it could be a public cloud, private cloud, secure FTP of the customer, the data will straight go there. So they are not moving the data around. So that option is also there. And all this happens automatically. There's no human in the loop. Any questions? So from good?
Yes.
Okay, give, sorry.
So for a disaster,
Mhm.
large disasters.
Yeah.
Normally, the satellites are open.
For the seven-day period.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how do?
We don't, so that is because you have, the operators have that arrangement to provide free data, right? So when you have free data, the thing about free data, because I've been on the operator side, you don't get all the data. You get, yeah, so that's the nuance, right? You have to open the hood to see what really happened. You don't get all the data, you get some data, it's point one. Point two, it's restricted, it's only for us or immediate period. After that, the countries are looking around and saying, what do we do now, right? The disaster doesn't just stop within 7 days, it's an ongoing, the whole remediate disaster recovery process is an ongoing process. So you obviously you take advantage of the fact you get free data,
Yeah.
but you also need to think about how do I supplement that free data with the commercial data, right? From a longevity standpoint, but also from a completeness standpoint, because if the operators are only going to provide certain data and not all the data, then the delta could be what you need as well. See what I mean by that? Excuse me. If a satellite is coming over the disaster zone, let's say 4 times a day, let's just assume. Their obligation to say free data doesn't say, I must provide all the data I collect over the area. So they may just give, yeah, exactly. They may just give 1 or maybe 2. They will not give you all 4. But you won't know that, right? So yeah, exactly. So this is what I said, operator one. So you might get, because obligation is to provide data and not to provide complete data, right? That nobody tells, it's a free data after all, so you can't dictate to an operator to say you must provide, if you have 4 revisits over that area, you must provide all 4. No, nobody signs up to that sort of commitment. Right? They'll say, I'll give you free data, fair enough. And they will, they all do. But then that's what I said, it's incomplete data. Yeah.
Dr. Sankar,
Yeah.
Follow up onto that stage. So when using this, and let's say in one disaster event, I will request for all the data at that time.
Yeah.
So what appear in the Earth eye space is like all 4 appears?
Yes, correct.
Or
Correct.
then you understand that, hey, actually we have only 2, then the other 2 we need to purchase, something
Yes.
like that.
You can.
Okay.
Exactly.
Not because another option is like, it's not searching, but you look into the available data. It's not searching, there is possible you search first, or it's already available, meaning it's already on the option. When the option, then you choose, let's say 1, 2, 3. But if you search, probably it only appear 2 that was you already received. So what is the?
Yeah, that's it. See, this is a difficult, it's an interesting question, but it's a difficult one, because when operator gives you the data, let's say they're doing 4 collections.
Yeah, probably.
You don't know which of the 4 collections they're going to give you. There's no, so they could give you collection 2. So how do I then go and take the morning collection and afternoon collection through this platform? It's a bit tricky. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no, because the obligation is to give you data and not tell you from which pass they give you. Right? If they have 4 passes, it doesn't mean they have to give you all 4 passes, point 1. Point 2, how do you know which pass the data is coming from so that you know what's the gap band to use this platform to collect on the other passes? It's a bit difficult, right? Yeah.
Because Dr. Mara is an expert in disaster.
Disaster, that's right, yeah.
Well, if we know the
pass.
pass,
Yes.
then we can request.
Yes.
Or
You will know the pass from our platform, but you need to go ask the operators
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
free data they're
Yeah.
giving you, from which pass are they giving?
yeah.
Yeah,
Good, that's good,
yeah,
because it will complete
yeah.
data for the
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, so we deliver this experience for all sorts of cases, right? So there you go, disaster, right? So emergency response, and whether it's fire, flood. This is a non-exhaustive picture that I ran out of space to put pictures, but you get the idea, right? So it's all sorts of sensors here, right? So there's thermal, there's night vision, there's optical, there is SAR. So various use cases, right? Whether it is maritime, mining, emergency response, just asset monitoring, infrastructure monitoring, flood mapping, automated change detection, automated object detection. Yeah. So all these water management, um, yeah, um, forest carbon, etc. So this is a case study with one of our defense clients, but this would apply to anybody that is a user of multi-sensor, right? If you're a user of a single sensor, perhaps there's not much value because you already have a single sensor operator you work with. I would argue that's like using one taxi company, right? Or going to one restaurant all the time. You just go to that restaurant only. What about all the other cuisines and all the other options you could have? Even the same cuisine could be from other restaurants, might be better. So that's why this choice platform would make sense, even if you're with a single operator. But this is a case of a defense client who were with 3 operators, and they still had all these issues on the left side, right? So they had these multiple contracts with these 3 operators, but they still could not get the certainty of acquisition. There was no certainty of acquisition because when it's a congested area and when there's competition, there's no guarantee you're going to get, right? Even though you might have a contract, unless you are at like a platinum level, right? You're a first class client and paying lots of money in millions, you get over prioritized over others. So certainty of data acquisition when and where you need it was a problem for this client. And even though these 3 operators, they were working across 3 different processes, systems, and delivery mechanisms, which mean they didn't have the ability to combine and compare the data. The other frictions around the whole sourcing process, acquisition process, workflows, as I mentioned, everybody, it's not standard, right? That's how we started this presentation with. Sometimes it's surprising, it's still manual. Some operators, you still have to email and fill the form. It's unbelievable. Even today's age, you still have to fill. Now, this is the beauty. We have operators on our platform. If you go to them, you will have to fill up forms and email. But you can task them on our platform without form filling and email. We have turned it around even for them. So that's the beauty. And data delivered obviously in multiple locations. So these are all the friction points. And then when they came to our platform, they didn't cancel the contracts with those 3 operators. They still continue to go. It's like the analogy I give. You have your private vehicles, but you are supplementing with Uber, Grab, Gojek, right? Yeah. It's a hybrid world we live in. So they still have those 3 contracts, but they also on our platform getting access to all the other sensors, operators, able to get the certainty of acquisition within minutes or a day and night. So whether it's going to get collected or not, you will know it within seconds to minutes. Unlike in a traditional sense, you will not know for some time. And that could be a problem because you did not explore the alternative. In our case, we'll get the certainty of acquisition within minutes, in seconds actually, seconds to minutes, 24/7, which then also can inform you can explore an alternative and so forth, and the ability to combine this multi-source data in one platform, right? Because you are collecting different sensor modalities in the area of interest and time of interest in the same workflow. So you're being collected. Now, I want to caution this. This doesn't mean your optical and SAR will get collected at exactly 1 o'clock, but you can narrow down. Because you have a path-based approach, you can narrow down to maybe optical will come at 1 o'clock, SAR will come at 1:30, but at least it's close enough for you to get the basic handle on that situation, rather than being so wide apart and you really can't make it work. One subscription, all operators I mentioned, that's a big friction removed. And one workflow, one platform, one workflow. You're not working across multiple platforms. not working across multiple workflows and systems. And they have all data in one location. So this is what we offer as an alternative. So essentially, we standardize and simplify tasking. You would have gotten that by now. It's become affordable. It's a choice, as I mentioned. Customers exercise their choice as to who they want to task with, even for the same sensor modality. 24/7, you have the ability to combine data, and so those are the key values. And then in terms of the whole offering itself, it's one workflow, one store, and it's very secure, right? One of the things we also, this may be, I'm not sure how interesting it is to you, we also do obfuscation of sensors. Now,
What?
obfuscation of sensors.
Obfuscation.
You obfuscate.
Obfuscate.
You obfuscate meaning the customer, some customers don't want the operators to know where they are tasking, right? And you can imagine this applies to defense.
So there is some secure.
Yeah, they are tasking, but they don't want the operator to know. So we also obfuscate not all the operators, because you can't obfuscate dual use national assets, but most commercial operators we obfuscate. So that's a big value to our defense clients, because when the task goes, operator sees the task coming from Earth-Eye. They don't know it's coming from some defense agency, right? So that's also one of the key values we provide, obfuscation. Yeah, so we are the world's first and continues to be the only, as we speak, subscription tasking platform, subscription tasking and insights platform on a subscription model. And essentially you pay a subscription, and that subscription amount is also turned into a prepayment or a credit in the first year. So it's not you pay a subscription and then when you start to task, you have to pay, which you do, but initially that subscription amount itself is a credit for you to start tasking, right? So you get a value, data insight value for every dollar, the first dollar onwards, but that's only for the first year. So that's the second point there. And then once you finished and exhausted that subscription amount, you still have access to the platform for 12 months, right? Because you paid an annual subscription, so you still have access, but you may not have any balance left. So you have three options. You can pay as you task. So there's an online integration to PayPal and bank and Stripe and all these different payment systems and processes. Or you can, most customers will top up and like a prepaid mobile. They'll top up and draw down, right? So that's an easier one to do because they'll get a budget approval, they top up, and then as they task, it draws down, debits your account just like a prepaid mobile. Some customers, with their credit approved, they can task and the platform will generate an invoice. All this is automated, whether you are paying now, pay as you task, or debiting your prepaid account, or automatic receipt is sent to you, or if you are paying later, there's an automated invoice generation, and just like an e-commerce experience you would have, a B2B e-commerce experience.
So, okay, what you said is for the first year, the annual subscription that is going to be
used as a credit.
Yeah. What happened to the second year?
You pay, and every year you have to pay annual subscription to keep access to the platform.
Oh.
But second year annual subscription may not necessarily become a credit.
Okay.
Yeah. But first year, just to get people comfortable, start using, we turn the first year amount and subscription into credit. No one has just asked me, yes, how much is it? We'll see.
Yeah.
That must be the best kept.
It has to be.
I'm sure it's coming up. Somebody's going to ask, keeps talking about affordability. How much is the subscription? Okay, right. So this is talking about, remember all this time we're talking about responsive access to space and satellite data, right? Through this on-demand ride share model. Now we are talking about, so what have we done so far? We've solved the accessibility issue, all the sensors in one place for a customer to access or user to access without the friction of having to work with individual operators. So that is accessibility issue solved. Other one is affordability issue. you don't know how much is it, but I can guarantee it's very affordable. The fact that you only need to pay one subscription, you get access to all the sensors without having individual contracts of 6, 7, 8 digits contracts. So that's the affordability aspect solved. This is what I call how we solve the usability. So herein, when you task and you get the data, that's the workflow you see on the top, data, tasking, and you get the data, whether it's a single sensor or multi-sensor. We are now extending that to what we call the feeds. So when you are tasking, it's happening in the same workflow. It's happening in the same tasking workflow. While you are tasking, you can also attach a feed request to that tasking. Such as for Navy clients, they're tasking in open waters, and they are interested to know where the vessels are, where the transshipments are, ship to ship, where certain classes of vessels are. So while they task, when the data gets dropped, automatically the computer vision machine learning models run on the data. Within 3 to 10, 15 minutes, all that information of interest to them gets extracted from the data, such as the coordinates of where the vessels of interest were located, the time of it, and the confidence level of it, that 97% it is a vessel or 95% it's a ship-to-ship situation. That is delivered as a GeoJSON feed, which can also be overlaid on our platform visually. So you can see the data, and then we overlay the feeds, GeoJSON, all the bounding boxes will be on top, right? Or it could be a change detection. So that is the feeds capability. This is how we are unlocking what we say the value of real-time information from task data. This is the point about not having to wait for days and weeks, but really bringing this down to minutes to get that information and insight extracted. So first feed we released was a vessel detection. It's now live. So we have Navy customers who task data, both optical and SAR, can also can opt to include vessel detection feed when they task optical and SAR. Data drops within 5 to 10 minutes. They will get this experience of overlaid GeoJSON, which shows the bounding box with these are vessels and these are the type of vessels, but they can also get that as a GeoJSON download and take it into their own environments for further analysis. They can take it in their own GIS systems, etc. The next one we are going to be working on is deforestation and greenhouse gas emissions. So we're going to capture the deforestation where it happens and compute the greenhouse gas emitted from the act of deforestation, whether it's natural or man-made. Construction change, mining. So the other one that has come up is mining tailings. Tailing management is a big issue, right? It's a huge high-risk activity in tailings management. So we're going to create a feed for tailings monitoring. So these are what we talk about feeds. Also available exactly as you would go through.
So that is the view of the website.
Yes, that's right.
Responsive separate tasking and your
Yes.
Let me call them.
Yes.
Bapak Ibu, silakan jika ingin bertanya, boleh bahasa Inggris, boleh bahasa Indonesia, boleh raise hand dan juga tulis di chat. Kami tunggu pertanyaannya, Bapak Ibu.
Right. So that's in conclusion is what we have achieved. So we are the world's first, as I mentioned, no human in the loop, fully automated tasking platform, direct tasking, as you would have appreciated by now. And you can task any of these ways. So you can task on demand, like for example, you just want one collection on a specific date or a period, date, or even just a period. And that's one-off done, and then you don't come back to the platform until you need to. There are others who will do recurrent. Recurrent can be sub-daily, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever periodicity that you can. So there are customers who set and forget because they want it. They are monitoring change. They are monitoring change detection over a longer period. So they want every week or month. So that's it. They set it up, and every week or month the data keeps dropping. And the persistent is such as in your disaster situation, we just deploy all the assets. All the assets are deployed just to get persistent monitoring during that disaster as it unfolds. Doesn't matter if 30 centimeter or 3 meter, right? So that's also possible. So different capabilities on the platform to be able to do whatever you want to do, right? And then, like I said, optionally, you can also ask to include that feeds, information inside feeds, and then the whole the sourcing process has been streamlined with one contract, one workflow. And yes, it's affordable subscription. So maybe it's the time to talk about, accessibility, affordability. So who wants to know how much is a subscription per year?
Everyone wants to know.
I want to know, but I'll also to know the what's that? The view of the website.
Yes,
Earth Eye Space.
yes.
.com.space.
Dot space.
Earth
Earth Eye dot space.
Yeah, that's kind of.
Okay, because after this slide, you saw me the
Yeah, that's kind of space. Yeah, that's that. Yeah. So accessibility, affordability, and usability of space-based data. So that's the reason we created the company. That's our mission. We want to remove the friction from accessibility, affordability, and usability. Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the metaphor that you use, this is the Uber, the Netflix, Amazon.
Quite a few. Yeah, these are all analogies. Yeah, it helps people to understand, right? So if you think about the business model, it's like
So it's not Netflix.
Netflix is from a choice point of view. If you think about, because we're aggregating lots of different sensors, and then within each sensor modality, lots of different capabilities, right? Different spatial, spectral, temporal resolution for each sensor modality. So that's why I use the word Netflix, because it's like Netflix, different movie genres, within each movie genre, different movies, right? That's one analogy. Amazon experience is like the whole e-commerce experience, right? I like the why I use Uber, Grab, Gojek is because it's on demand. You are not pre-committing anything. You just have access to, just like Netflix subscription or Amazon. You are not pre-committing. Yes, there is a subscription because Uber and Gojek and Grab are consumer apps, and you don't really have to have a subscription to them. But because we are B2B and we have to do KYC, we have a small subscription amount. So that is the only difference. Otherwise, it's completely on demand. You can stay at the minimum subscription that you pay to get on the platform, or like most of our customers do, you pay hundreds of times more and start using it very regularly. So this is probably a good time to talk about the subscription. So to get on the platform, the annual subscription is only 5,000 US.
5,000
US.
US.
That is very affordable,
Okay.
right? nobody's falling off the chair. Correct. So 5,000 US is per year annual subscription. In the first year, that 5,000 is also used as a credit. Now I'm sure somebody is going to ask, what will the 5,000 get me? I'll come to that because that's also a very fair question. I'll come to that. And then, there are customers who have joined our platform with 50,000 on day one. There are others who are joining our platform with $1 million on day one. There are others who start with 5,000 and stay at 5,000. It's completely what you want to do, how you want to use it, right? Yeah.
So do you have kind of a demo on the YouTube or on your platform?
No, not on YouTube. Okay, because it's difficult to do a demo of a live tasking platform. So we don't have it on YouTube, but we can do a demo. Usually we do a demo. I do a demo, and we can, there's time I can show a few things on the platform. Yeah, so that is possible. So that's what we do.
Because today the what they call the millennial, normally they don't use the YouTube, but the different type of YouTube, what they call shorts. What in 1 minute, short is YouTube video.
Okay.
But in 1 minute they explain things.
Okay, right.
Fast.
Oh yeah.
They call shorts.
Right. Yeah.
And that's why by having that, I can show the capability of like what Earth Eye space can provide.
Yeah.
That's
Sure, yeah, we can do that, yeah, we should do that, yeah, but right now we don't have a. This is not a, that's why I say this is not a consumer app, it's a B2B.
yeah,
app.
B2B. I understand,
So
but
we have to, yeah, so because when we do tasking, you only see the value of this product or this capability in real life. So when I do a demo, we actually are going to be tasking. You will see us tasking and getting the workflow going. So we can probably create a video and put it there, a short video, yeah, possibly, but we don't have a demo system for users to use it, self-serve the demo. Yeah.
Dr. Agusan, coba tanya.
Yes, thank you very much, Pak Oni, for your time. Thank you very much for your presentation, Dr. Shankar. So I'm wondering about how to deal with the free source open data, for example, like Sentinel-1, Landsat, and so on. How about the price? Is this also still charged or something like that? Because we can directly access the data freely?
We don't host public goods, public source data. We don't host Landsat and Sentinel. We only host commercial operators and national dual use. So when I see national dual use, think of the Korean satellites, think of Singaporean satellites, think of Japanese satellites, not your ESA and NASA satellites. They are public good satellite, right? Sentinel is a public good. But if you look at the nation states, sovereign states dual use, they're primarily used for their government and military purposes, but they are also available for commercial. That's why they're called dual use assets.
How about the Chinese satellite?
We have them also. We have everybody.
You also provide the Chinese data?
Yes, we provide Americans to Chinese and everybody in between. We don't discriminate against satellite operators. All the satellite operators on our platform. It's a question of who the customer wants to task. So that choice is left to the customer. We are an aggregator, so we aggregate everybody.
Okay then.
So you are the aggregator. This is and first and the most bold. You mean there will be no, at the moment there is no competitor.
At the moment, there's no. I mean, like Uber came and took a while before Grab came.
Yeah,
and
Grab,
Gojek.
because Grab and Gojek.
Yeah, so I'm sure somebody will come after us,
Okay.
but right now, you don't get this capability anywhere else, right now.
Okay.
It's a function of time.
That connects with the question about what satellites are available.
What satellite, I mean, lots. It's very hard to say what satellite.
250.
It's 250 satellites. So just to give you an idea, we have signed up with 35 operators. 35, right? That's a lot of operators. And we have only onboarded right now 14 operator. So we still have a long way to go. We're still onboarding 15, 16, 17. So there are 14 operators on the platform going up to 35. And like I said, there are 50, 60 operators. So we'll keep signing newer ones, 36, 37, 38. So we'll just keep expanding. It's all about giving choice for our customers and bringing newer sensors.
Yeah, for us, normally we are more, a lot of our member of the Indonesian space and Indonesian Society of Remote Sensing. Their background is researcher and academician.
Yeah.
So they use a lot of the public data. But there is also some people who working in the industry, like in oil and palm, probably in military, in coal industry, greenhouse gases. Probably they are interested also to the more the private data that you have created.
Right. Yeah.
Pak Antonto, punya pertanyaan nggak? Some are working for the city some city official.
Right.
That's what I see.
Okay, right. Yeah, so we have customers who build digital twins of their cities, 3Ds of their cities, using stereo, tri-stereo capability today.
So what satellite is?
Sorry.
What the satellite provider?
It's
Normally, long time ago, it's like France satellite untuk digital twins. Kalau yang model spot itu.
Yeah, so you
DEM.
yeah, you can create, you can take stereo pair or better still tri-stereo and then create 3D. So there's, one is the collection part of it, tri-stereo collection. Other one is then processing it to a 3D image, right, or 3D model. So that we don't do ourselves. We work with a partner if somebody wants it, or there are existing customers who just take that and they know how to go and convert into it.
Okay, so you have a partner. In terms of the customers, your customer base, what nationality mostly of your customer base? Yeah,
Platform.
yeah, and number.
So we
And what industry? normally?
so we have our North Star being our most dominant North Star. It's called North Star. It's like most dominant.
Yeah.
Our most dominant customers are defense intelligence, as you can imagine, because of this sort of capability, followed by space agencies. We have space agencies as customers. You know, space agencies is very interesting because there are lots of space agencies, as you know, and most of them are not spacefaring nations, right? So there are only few that actually have assets, their own assets in space. But when you have a space agency in a country and you don't have capability, they look at this as a very synergistic. So because they get access to this platform, now they have access to all the satellites across all the sensor modalities. So even though they may be launching 1 or 2 satellites, this supplements their efforts in providing, or getting access to space data for various use cases. So whether it's during disaster, whether it's building, urban planning or things like that. So yeah, coming back, defense intelligence, space agencies, disaster management, plantation, mining, consultants, ESG consultants. ESG consultants.
Popular today.
Yeah, I mean, a whole variety of customers. Yeah, startups, 2% and they are tech startup. Yeah, so we have a whole spectrum of customers who spend $1 million plus to customers spend 5,000. That's the beauty of the model.
So because the question is like B2B, and our organization is actually collection or association of professionals, remote sensing, working in the industry, but is there any possibility that the association will become the member and the member can also get access to your platform?
The short answer right now is no.
Because Pak Gustan is the chair of association.
Yes.
And if Pak Gustan, let's say, open the account today,
Yes.
so I can get access via Pak Gustan.
But
that's
for the agency, for
the association.
Yeah, for the association use, you can.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's not B2B in terms of.
No, that's okay. So,
Okay,
because you have a registration, right?
Yeah.
As an association,
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
a
yeah.
registration. See the difference between a business and a consumer.
Yeah.
Consumer, there's no registration, right?
Okay.
I mean, like I'm assuming even NGOs in most countries have to be registered.
Yeah.
Similarly, association will be registered in Indonesia, right?
Yeah.
So you'll have a registration number.
Yeah.
So long as you have a registration number, you're good. You're a business.
So I consider us.
Yes, correct, exactly.
Because I'm working in the industry probably different.
Yeah.
Because I'm professional. Let's say he's disaster professional.
Yes.
I'm professional in, let's say, palm oil.
Yeah.
But I'm a member association of Pak Gustan, the
Yes.
Mapin.
Yes.
And the Mapin was the member that
Of the platform,
subscription,
yeah.
of your
So,
platform.
so if Pakistan subscribe to it as mapping, then you can use the data for all mapping purposes.
Okay.
You can't give the data to, let's say there's a, I don't know, I'm just throwing a name, there's a Pertamina member here.
Okay,
You can't go give the data to Pertamina, they have to subscribe. But you can use it within your own purposes, for your own purpose.
yeah, because this, you mentioned your North Star was the defense
Yes.
and the space agency. And the defense is not a bit uncommon in Indonesia, working because we are more public.
Yeah.
That's number one.
Yeah.
Probably not in our society members. But second, on the space agency, because we are working in the research industry professionally. So the name of the research industry, correct? The space agency become Indonesia Mobile.
Yes, Lapan became
Yeah,
brain,
Mapin become brain.
part of brain.
Part of it. So the only space agency is brain,
Yeah.
and they have a different character.
Yeah.
Than what you mentioned about the space agency in opening. They have their satellite.
Yeah,
Probably they will also launch
more satellites.
more satellite. And if you have the possibility to open for bigger audience, probably they have an incentive
Yeah.
to put more satellite at the same time that they can
Yeah.
access. That's number one about the space agency. But at the moment, probably they will not also difficulty to become a member of this type of platform.
Right.
That's my.
Depends, yeah, you're
Because
absolutely right.
I comment on two North Star of your.
Yes, no, you're right, because there are space agencies that are what I call operationally focused. There are space agencies that are only regulatory focused. A regulatory focused space agency will not have much value from us. But those space agencies that are operationally focused, that actually does stuff, right? During disaster, or during for building, I'm taking an example of a space agency. I know how they're using our platform. They use our platform during disaster. They use our platform because they are a nodal agency everybody goes to. They use our platform to build digital twins of cities. They use our platform to deliver data to their defense clients. So they are kind of the nodal agency because that's how that country space agency is set up. So they are very operational focused space agency, and they obviously like this approach of having access to the platform to responsibly task when and where they want. There is another space agency we have in this space agency I mentioned is in Southeast Asia. The other one in Africa, it's a regulatory agency, but they're also they realize that they need to support their government. So what they are doing is they became our customer with the view to turn that license into a whole of government license. So they will be the sponsor, but the data collected can be used by all the government bodies. So we also can do that. So we can do a whole of government license. So every time somebody is tasking, that data is now available within the whole government.
Actually, that's what happened in Indonesia.
Yeah.
By law,
Yeah.
Everything was purchased by Lapan.
Yeah, and made available. Yeah. So that model is already there. So if Lapan wants to subscribe to it, so all that happens is the subscription doesn't change. It's still the $5,000. But in how the data then gets used, there's additional uplifts because it's no longer a single user license of the data. It's a whole of government use of the data.
Okay.
So that's also there.
Okay, that's in how to become a member and how to use. But Pak Agustan, if you want to interested, let's say on LiDAR data, Pak Agustan is expert in
LiDAR.
No.
I just wondering how come that LiDAR can be obtained from satellite, because the distance very higher. We understand that we can get LiDAR data only from drone or from
aerial,
phone based, but satellite based, wow, it's amazing for me.
Yeah, it will be a first satellite will be coarse resolution. So you should not expect 2-3 meters or 5 meters. It will be coarser, but it'll get better, right? So today we are talking about 16 centimeters SAR. who would have talked about 16 centimeter SAR, 10 years, 10 years, even 5 years ago, you would not have dreamt of a 16 centimeter SAR, right? But we are going to have a 16 centimeter SAR. So similarly, initially the LiDAR will be coarser resolution, more than 10-meter resolution, but it will get better. It will only start to get better and better.
So for the audience who want to ask a question, please raise your hand and we will give you the airtime. Ada?
So if you go into
Pak Iqbal?
if you go, somebody has got a question. But if you go into tasking.earthi.space, you can actually, it's a public site. You can actually see how you can't get inside, but you will see the experience. So I'll just show you. So yeah, I'll just show you. So that's just so that somebody had a question, was it?
Not yet.
Not yet.
So that's the site. Am I connected?
Yeah, it's a bit slow.
Oh, your internet that's very slow. Usually it's already. Okay. Yeah. Already. Okay. So yeah. So that's a site, right? So obviously this is a sign-up process. Again, that's what I said. You're not talking to anybody. So this is like you sign up yourself and that information will get sent to us. We will do a KYC, know your customer process. We'll send you a secure link if you pass the KYC process. Just to give you an idea, we so far since April last year, we turned away 8 customers. I keep track of the customers we declined. So we have declined 8 because they didn't pass the KYC. But today we host over 2 dozen plus customers in a very short period of 8-9 months since we had the product. We have over 2 dozen plus customers. Yeah, so you will sign up here, and that's how it works. But just to give you an idea, if you went to how it works, you see you've got some YouTube. So you asked me about it.
Yeah.
But this is not the platform, but it's just more of a concept, right?
Yeah.
So what if I could task all satellites in a single window? How do I task multiple satellites? So there's some YouTube videos are there. But what I want to show you is, remember I talked about e-commerce experience. This is how the platform looks, right? So all your tasks, your carting, your collections, this is where all the data gets delivered, your order history, your ongoing deposits. So that's exactly how e-commerce works. So that's a click. But if you want to see how you go and task, if you click on it, you can't get through because you're not signed up, right? So we want to deliberately show customers or prospects, it is like an e-commerce experience. So even on a public site, you can see it. Or you can request for demo. So I don't know if there are quite a few of you here. If somebody liked this concept and you want a demo, please go to the site, tasking. Make a request. You can also demo preference. You can pick a date and time of your preference, and then we will schedule a demo, and we can do that. So you can send your details. Yeah, so you can just contact us. So and you might have some inquiries. So all that is there. But that just gives you an idea. So that's a site. So if somebody has the 5,000 ready to go with your corporate credit card, or you can do a bank transfer, this is a site. You are in business. Yeah. Don't have to talk to anybody. You just sign up, pay, you get access to 250 plus satellites. That's the
How to know when you say it's about the 5,000, but how
much
you can get for the prepaid, like what you can get
for the 5,000. Very good question. This is the number one question I get asked. Okay, what is the 5,000 give? My standard answer is, how long is a piece of string? You know what that means, right? Because why? If you use the cheapest sensor on the platform, that's one answer. If you use the most expensive sensor, the different answer. So I'll give you both extremes. If you use the cheapest sensor, which is 6 bands, 2.5 meter resolution, multispectral, has a revisit of daily, and
Optic.
optical, yeah, multispectral, So 2.5 meter, 6-band, daily revisit, optical multispectral is, you have, because you're tasking, it's 100 square kilometer minimum collection scene, it's $150. So you divide 5,000 by 150, that many scenes or that many square kilometers, because it's basically $1.50 a square kilometer, right? So $1.50 a square kilometer, so divide by 5,000 by $1.50, right? So that many square kilometers you can collect. That's one extreme. The most expensive, no surprise, is going to be RF, but that doesn't apply to you. In your imaging context, the most expensive is going to be SAR. So SAR at 25 centimeter is the most expensive. That will put you back by about $2,000 to $2,500 per scene. So 2 scenes, you're finished,
Yeah.
right? But that's a very high resolution, right? Yeah. So if you don't need it, you're not going to task a 25 centimeter SAR. Yeah, and then if you get a 30 centimeter multispectral, it'll put you back by anything from, I don't know, 1,500 to 2,000, because again, 30 centimeters, very high resolution optical in 4-5 bands. So again, there are so many sensors, you have all that information on the platform. And before you hit the task pattern, you know exactly how much the task is going to cost. Is it going to cost $300, $150, $200, $2,000? If you do an area tasking, maybe it costs $6,000, right? It's a large area. You do a very large polygon and you want to task, maybe it's a $6,000 tasking. Then your 5,000 not enough. So you can automatically, straight away, while you are at the task itself, you can top up and continue the workflow and task that very large area polygon you drew for $6,000 tasking, because maybe you wanted emergency tasking, or you may wanted priority tasking. So I talked about standard of 24 hours or more. Emergency is 1 hour. In between, there are 2 more tasking tiers called priority and rush. So standard, priority, rush, emergency. So these are all price accelerators. If standard is, 1x, priority may be 1.2x, rush may be 1.4x, and emergency may be 2x, 3x. I mean, just giving some random numbers, but you get the idea of price accelerators.
Okay, Pak Gustan will ask question.
Yes.
Pak Gustan.
Yes, thank you. Let me confirm or validate my opinion that one, what is the product of, if we subscribe to Earth Eye, what is the product that we get? Is it raster file or GIS ready in vector file? And then what else? Maybe the time latency, you already explained that. And then the format of the data that we get.
Right. So you get raster, you get metadata, you get thumbnail. So you get fully corrected radiometric, geometric, corrected data, auto-rectified. So you can go from L1A to all the way to L3. You have a choice of data products you can ask, but most people just want the auto-rectified L3 product. And so that's all delivered in GeoTIFF. And then you get your thumbnail, and so they are ready for GIS ingestion. You get your thumbnail in PNG and JPEG. You get metadata either in XML or GeoJSON. Yeah.
And also, how about the archive data? Is it also available?
No, one thing I said in the beginning, we are all about responsive tasking. So we only do tasking, no historical data. You can build your own historical data like our customers do from the time they start using our platform, because they are doing continuous collection, they are building their historical data on the platform, or they're taking it away. But if you come to the platform and say, I want data from 2 months ago, that problem is already solved. There are many marketplaces you can go and get that. So I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. We are solving a very specific problem, where you want, when you want, with what sensors you want, at the price point you want. That's a very different problem to go collecting from a cold storage, some data that's sitting from some operator.
Okay, then. So you specialize on tasking.
We are the world's largest specialist tasking provider today, multi-sensor tasking provider.
So it means we must have a plan, yeah, for the next day observation, for example, and then submit it to your system. And then after that, we can get the data.
Correct. It can be from this afternoon. You want something next 2 hours, or you might want something next week, next month, next 6 months. Whatever is your requirement in the future from this minute onwards, not last minute.
I see, I see, I see.
It's like that's why
Okay.
I use the word. This is why I use the word Uber, Grab, Gojek. It's all about future.
It's all about future. Okay, okay, okay. Thank you very much for your explanation.
That's a very good question. It's because people assume, oh, so archive is also there. No.
So when, let's say I'm subscriber, but
Yeah.
let's say I subscribe, I bought today, tomorrow, and the day of tomorrow. So I have to archive in my own cloud.
No, you can keep it on our platform.
You can keep it, okay. Oh,
That's why I said people build their archive.
okay, okay. So I can still build in your,
Yeah.
because
so
otherwise
long, so long as you keep paying the subscription.
yeah. Okay, then it's yeah. Ada lagi yang mau bertanya? Is there any more questions?
I want to get some feedback because we are still a very young company. We are only, like I said, 1 year and 6 months old company, and we brought the product only 9 months ago. So what do you think? I mean, you're all experts in remote sensing, Earth observation, remote sensing. What do you think of this capability? We call it a capability, right? It's a capability we're offering in the market. Pak Agustin, we'll start with you.
Bagusan, jawab pertanyaannya. Penting tuh, bagus tuh, menarik. Interesting. It is interesting. What your expectation or what you can learn?
Oh, your feedback about this.
Oh, feedback,
Is it useful? Or it's not useful? Is it? Yeah. What do you think?
Actually, regarding for the tasking, usually Indonesia market is related to the disaster. Actually, for example, volcano observation. Right now, we have a lot of volcano is erupted, and we don't have any data of that.
Exactly.
But sometimes we flew the drone, around that volcano to observe. And then if we understand, but some people still didn't believe that satellite image can do direct tasking, for emergency response. They say, oh, it needs 8 hours, it needs 1 day or something to bring the satellite to observe that certain point in the Earth surface. So that's our mindset right now. So but
because you're used to taxi
show
companies.
us,
Because you're used to taxi companies.
Yeah, we like an old mindset. Yeah.
Bluebird. You only think Silverbird and Bluebird. It takes time.
I have a share in the Bluebird, so don't
When
take.
I used to come to Jakarta, Indonesia in early 2000, I will wait half an hour to 1 hour to get my Silverbird and Bluebird. Now I get my Grab, Gojek in like what, 3 minutes? Yeah.
Pak Oni is a commissaries in the Bluebird, so don't assault the Bluebird brand name.
Sorry, just analogy. That's all. I have nothing against Bluebird.
Okay then. So we are still thinking about that one.
Okay, there you go. That's a good point. Yeah. So yeah, the world is changing. It's changing because of, like I said, it's now becoming a demand-driven market, but it's also the supply is increased, right? 2017 you could count the number of constellations with 1, 2 hands, but now there are 50, 60, 70s, and more and more. There are going to be over 1,000 plus Earth observation satellites. 1,000.
Dr. Shankar.
Yeah.
One more question related to the surveillance, for example, for the surveillance purposes. For example, for the ship detection, around the port. And illegal trafficking or something, because it requires high temporal resolution and very high spatial resolution.
Correct.
So how many times, how many the delay time that if we, for example, if we ask right now, this minute, and then what is the quickest, the fastest time that we can get the data?
So the emergency response delivers the data within 1 hour from collection. So from collection to delivery, 1 hour. That whole that I mentioned, right? It's a corrected, rectified image, geotape comes within 1 hour from collection. But then the question is, how frequently can I collect?
To
right?
bring the satellite into the certain point, how many minutes?
So that is the number of revisits. So there are satellites that has at least 45 minutes to an hourly revisit. So you can at least get one image every hour.
How about the cloud problem?
Can't be solved. I'm not God. so if it is cloudy, it's going to be cloudy. Then you use SAR. But SAR satellites don't have that high cadence right now. Unlike optical, I can give you hourly optical collection. SAR, we don't have hourly. Right now, the best you can get is 4 times a day.
4 times a day using SAR.
So it means the fastest time that we can get information at least 3 hours, yeah, from the request, from the submission.
Yes, because you don't have the answer is it depends. Because if you are tasking about 45 minutes before the satellite is going to come over past your area of interest, then you're going to get the data within an hour. So it could be, answer is it's a range. It could be anything from 90 minutes to, you're right, about 180 minutes.
Yeah, for example, right now, Bu Marina review the ocean decade, yeah, the document. So for example, for the oil spill application, for example, there is a tanker that spilled in the nearest Batam area, Batam Sea or Singaporean Sea. And then we can identify what ship is that, what the company. So it means 3 hours after the occurrence, yeah. So we think we must predict also the trajectory of the ship 3 hours in onward, yeah. So also maybe we can ask 2-point observation, the recent position, and maybe the 3 hours next, yeah.
Take that position where the vessel or where the oil spill has moved or the vessel has moved. Yeah.
Okay then, understand. Very good application, ya.
Ya, buat Pertamina bagus.
Yeah,
If they have no oil spill.
Bakamla,
Bakamla,
Coast Guard.
Are you finished?
So
Yes.
So Coast Guard consider government, no? So if BRIN become a member, then it can be used for Bakamla. Kan gitu kan?
Yeah. I think so.
So meaning BRIN can also provide the service for Bakamla.
See, one of the things BRIN can do, this is what others do, right? You can create a derived product. Because you don't have to hand over the raw data to the end client. So Bakamla, for example, right? So BRIN collects the data, does the processing and provide only the information, which is then become a derived product to Bakamla. Thereby, you're not spending anything more. Only because the whole of government license is when the data gets shared among everyone, the same data gets sent around to everybody. That is a whole of government license, which is different from you creating a derived product, which means an information that, like our vessel detection. Our vessel detection is a derived product, right? All we are sending to, in addition to, I mean, for Navy, they need evidence of the image also, but if you think about the vessel detection, all it has is the coordinates of the vessels located, the time, and the confidence level, right? I mean, we'll keep adding the length of the ship and the shape of the ship and all that into the geodesic, but it's still all derived product.
Also, another question, sir, that is it possible you provide real-time video surveillance?
We have video surveillance, but there's no real time there, right? Because the satellite, remember, all the satellites, and this is probably easy to explain to this group, all the satellites on our platform are LEO, right? So low Earth orbit. So they are either in, but again, this is the beauty. We are the only platform that hosts satellites from all orbits. Why? An operator goes to 1 or 2 orbits only. They don't go to all orbits. Where do most operators go? Sun synchronous, right? Right. So most operators are in polar. some defense focus operators will go on incline, mid-incline. And then there are operators in equatorial. But people going to equatorial orbit, they are not your commercial operators, they are usually governments. Governments who are in the equatorial belt, because commercial operators don't go to equatorial, limited business. But because of who we are, we onboard commercial and government, we have satellites from every orbit. Polar, mid-incline, near equatorial, there are satellites there for both optical and SAR. So that's the beauty. So coming to your question, we are not a geostationary satellite to be like broadcast satellite to be continuously doing a video surveillance. The satellites are going to be coming around at every so often within that time, and at that time it will collect. So yeah. So you are going to have gaps. You are going to have a gaps of anything from an hour to 2 hours gaps in every collection, between collections.
Okay. Thank you very much for your updating us about the latest technology of the remote sensing. Thank you.
Novelty approach for removing friction. That's in terms of the publication. So I know some already. If you're doing the archive, normally it's easy to do some publication, but for doing tasking, is there any publication, journal publication or research publication, which related into your?
You asking me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that would be the client.
The client, yeah.
Publish data from what they pass. It's not, I don't think they,
Yeah.
the Earth Eye will think about it. I mean,
Yeah, that's
okay,
true.
so for the website, I've been looking at our
We'll
website.
show everyone our website. Yes, yes.
So in here, I think if I may suggest.
Yes.
An example of the workflow of tasking.
Right.
For example, one application, for example, land subsidence.
Yep.
Or LV.
Yeah.
Or
Those are use cases, right?
yeah, use cases.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it would be for people to actually understand what's the advantage of using.
Right.
Yeah.
It's, I mean,
Or for example, for Spire,
Yes.
that's I mean,
Yeah.
land subsidence would take years, right? For Spire, it would take
yeah,
2-3 days.
Yeah.
Pass.
yeah. Even land subsidence, you can, I mean, if you knew there was certain risk element, like mine subsidence, you can, you use INSAR, I mean, not we, customers use interferometry star to do mine subsidence because they know there's a certain situation in the mine and they're concerned, their ground-based sensors picked up something. So they're supplementing their ground-based sensors with INSAR to look for, as you know, INSAR, you can go down to millimeter level subsidence. So we say we are a supermarket, you can cook the dish of your choice. So I hear you, we should put up a page with all the use cases, but we also want to, I mean, it's art of the possible, right? We are making available a supermarket, you cook whatever you want to cook, it's the kind of approach we took. But you're right, sometimes you have to be prescriptive also.
Yeah, you need to entice us
And-
to what you can do.
Everything, practical, you know, you got a supermarket of sensors, you can do anything you want.
Yeah. Thank you.
Ada lagi? Kalau nggak ada kita udah.
So in here, you're showing what you want to show in this.
Yeah, so no, just the website. I've not seen it myself in a long time. So that's
Oh.
that's the tasking. So these are the two things we talked about, right? Tasking as a service and insights as a service, where we are basically extracting information.
Do you have some third party or consultant that specialize in using this? Your service? Within 9 months. Within 9 months.
Consultants using it.
Yeah, using.
Yeah, like I said, ESG consultants. ESG people.
Oh, it's ESG. Yeah.
As an example, yeah. Like ENY is one of our you understand, yeah? Global consultants.
For ESG.
Yeah.
Yeah. But big consulting firm now for ESG.
Yeah.
Ada lagi teman-teman? Pak Agustan? Udah hampir 2 jam ini.
Finish. Thank you.
Kalau gitu, we will conclude this presentation. I give Pak Agustan first, atau Pak Agustan give a closing speech and then you have closing speech. Pak Agustan.
Wow. So, thank you very much, Dr. Shankar, for visiting us here in Jakarta and provide us the latest technology for data acquisition and for tasking, especially for tasking. So, I can understand that Earth Eye Space is specializing in tasking. So, it's about the future, yeah, about the future from almost 35 data provider from 250 satellites, yeah, on orbit. So, it includes optic, radar, hyperspectral, and LiDAR will coming on 2024 from all satellites in orbit, yeah, like Chinese, India, Singaporean, Japan, and something. But for open source, open data like from ESA, from JAXA, is not included in your service. And we can get the data from in raster format and GIS ready, yeah, with the some subscription with 4 types of observation tasking: normal, emergency, rush, and I forgot. Okay then. So
Priority.
yeah, 3 or 4 types of tasking. Okay then. So thank you very much again. So we hope that Pak Oni and Bu Marina can develop a business plan, yeah, with us, with Mapin, so we can collaborate. So what happened is to Indonesia and other region, yeah, in surround Indonesia and surrounding. So thank you very much for your kindness. Thank you, Pak Oni. Thank you, Bu Marina. Thank you all.
Thank you, Pak Agustan. You make my life easier today because you already make a good summary and insight about the meeting. Thank you, Pak Agustan. Pak Saka.
Oh, thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Like, so just one correction. So we signed up with 33 operators going up to 35, but we've only onboarded 14. So this 250 satellite only from 14 operators. So by the time we are done with all the operators, will be over 350 plus. So that's the only correction. But thank you for inviting me. Thank you for listening, and please provide me, if not now, later through your other channels, also through our website. You can contact us. Please provide your feedback. We are, like I said, we are a very young company. We are doing something different for the Earth observation community. And we want to make Earth observation and remote sensing, not like the word democratized, but anyway, I'll use it nevertheless. Democratize it from accessibility, affordability, and usability standpoint, not just for big spending clients, but then, like I said, also 2% and their pet, right? So it needs to be accessible, affordable, and usable to everybody. And that's the mission we are on. So thank you for your support.
Thank you, Dr. Shankar. Very informative and enlightening.
Yes.
Bu.
No, I'm fine. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you so much. And dear colleague, friends, we have to give applause to Dr. Shankar.
Thank you.
And for some of our members, we try to develop the business development plan by Bu Marina and Pak Agustan. Since we are honored to have this type of collaboration, we will probably the Earth Eye will become the next Uber space aid for data provider satellite, and we can collaborate with them. That's also important. And of course, the summary probably we will put on the Mapin YouTube channel. So for someone that missed this meeting, can see in our Mapin channel. Thank you for everybody. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
And I will close the recording part. but we can
Yeah, still.
we